Hello and welcome. My name is Patrick Ayo, and it is my pleasure to present to you the importance of writing portfolios and how they specifically could be a countermeasure for apathy towards writing. So, before we get into the nitty gritty of everything, I just want to establish that my intended audience for this, aside from obviously my professor and you guys, is my fellow colleagues in the humanities, so my fellow history and English teachers at my school, in addition to my department supervisor, because I feel the findings that I kind of added to this presentation could be very useful to our students since it really kind of puts writing together in a nice cohesive kind of setting. So my inherent purpose for this is to basically make the task of writing more congruent to a specific student goal. So it's established by the student, making it a little bit more, what's the word I want to use, more natural to the student and make them a little bit more invested in their own goal, right? And the products made by said student reflective of a sense of progression. So in short, the portfolio serves as a tangible product that students can refer to measure and reflect upon their progress as writers. So as a result, students will become more engaged in the process of writing, or at least I hope so, right? And by design, quoted by our friend Bader over here, such classroom activities allow reflection, interaction, and opportunities to return to one's text and improve it. So, kind of that feedback loop of going back and forth on one's writing is to engage the student in the process, right? And by having that personal goal that they write, right, they should be more invested in their own journey as a writer. And I'm going to go over some of those goals so you guys have some guidance. But before we get into that, you may be asking, what exactly is this portfolio? So the portfolio is basically an ongoing summative assessment like any other portfolio you have ever seen. It is comprised of several smaller assessments, in large quotations, smaller assessments, because it's going to be comprised of essays, one pagers, blog posts, right? So we're kind of mixing some more traditional forms of writing, such as the essays and research papers, while the more non traditional stuff will come from the blog posts, social media, podcasts, right? So we're trying to give you a very holistic view of what a student's writing could look like, right? Because not everyone is great at writing essays and may want to express themselves through written expression in other formats, which is totally valid, right? And I also just put up, because I know supervisors are always looking for those gosh darn standards, we have all the writing standards you could imagine in this, right? Because it's such a large scale writing project, right? Okay, so how does this look in practice? Students will be given either the option to do a physical portfolio or an online portfolio. My students personally prefer physical, believe it or not. And also, I recognize that some students may not have access to internet online. So if they want to like add or edit anything at home, I just want to give them the option to do it physically. So they're not like, oh my God, this is like completely hopeless, right? However, before adding to their portfolio, students will formulate a writing goal that is personal to them, and I will explain that in the next slide. Throughout the year, students will complete a variety of writing tasks. Again, this could be like essays, one pagers, blog posts. It could be a lot of different things, and I will show you some examples. And they're going to edit them, they will be graded, and they will be required to put each of those tasks into separate categories, which I will also explain. Once students have added their product to the corresponding category, they will reflect on two things. One, if the product reflects any progress in the goal they established, and two, a teacher provide a prompt that is specific to the category. Because if we just allow them to just say, "Oh, did I meet the goal or not?" We know our students are going to be like, "Yes, I totally met the goal," even if they didn't. So having that like second form of reflection kind of keeps them a little more accountable. And hopefully, at the end of the year, students will complete a final reflection that tasks them with evaluating their own growth by answering a teacher given prompt, which I will also go over. So, two forms of goals that they can have. Some students like more short term goals, so they're smaller, more specific, such as, oh, after each essay, I want to have less run on sentences, or after each essay, I want to have more descriptive words, right? So, that is totally tangible. That's totally like a little less intimidating for some students, especially ones that are not as comfortable writing. However, some may like the more long-term, larger, broader goals, right? So maybe by the end of the portfolio, they want just better organization skills in writing, becoming more comfortable with brainstorming ideas, less fear in starting the process of writing, right? While these are fairly general, they're still in the scope of like the writing process and creating the product, so you could still pinpoint like discernible steps for them to take to achieve these goals if they need help, right? And Wiggins basically wrote, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he basically said it's so important to have goals so you can have like a baseline to refer to and you could kind of reciprocate the feedback that you get with the product you produced, right? So it's kind of that, again, back and forth feedback loop of I do the thing, did I meet my goal? If not, what can I do to address it, right? And that is in turn supposed to engage students in the process, especially if we're allowing them to have a personal goal, right? Now, here are some categories I thought were necessary: academic writing, creative writing, use of digital tools, and social issues. The number next to each category is the number in which of how many items I want in each category. Academic writing and creative writing are pretty self-explanatory. You could refer to the list I provided. Use of digital tools. I want to make that a little more specific because a lot of students will be like, well, I wrote my essay on a Chromebook. Is that not a use of digital tools? And my answer would be not necessarily, because under my definition, it is writing that is dependent on the usage of digital tools and or engages users to contribute to the digital world. So what does that mean? Social media, blog posts, TikTok, podcasts, video essays, infographics, digital timelines, story maps, something that would not be able to exist without digital tools. And all the things I listed there are all accessible via Chromebook or phone, right? So no student should be buying any additional stuff. All the accounts that they would be making for the program should be free, and all of it is pretty easy to teach if you are going to do that. The last category is social issues, which honestly, if you're an English teacher, you know you're going to be hitting that in any text, right? And I said any product mentioned prior is applicable if it covers a specific social issue. So you could write a short story and put that in creative writing. However, if you have a short story that's talking about socioeconomic factors in urban areas, you could definitely put that in your social issues instead, right? You could mix and match where things may go, but you cannot repeat each item in the category. So, for example, if you have an argumentative essay about politics and To Kill a Mockingbird, you could put that in academic writing or social issues, not both. All right, so it kind of pushes students to really like dig in their bag and make sure they're putting a lot of work in there. And some of the reflection prompts, I'm not going to read all of these, but the personal student goal one that I would like them to answer is based on your latest addition to the portfolio. Do you feel that you became closer slash achieved your goal? What practices helped you? If you did not, what do you feel was preventing you from so? Kind of just like a long form answer of like, what was I doing? Did I do it okay? What can I do differently, right? Just giving them that area to like reflect, right? And then for each of the categories, they're more specific. So, for example, creative writing, how does this piece demonstrate your ability to utilize your imagination and make creative decisions to convey a point, right? If you just said like each time, like, how did your writing improve for this one? It makes it more difficult for them to really think about that and in turn write about that. So, giving the more specific prompts per category really helps. And for the final reflection, this is towards the end of the year, so I would like them to answer a prompt that's kind of like looking back at all the entries you put for your portfolio. How does the completion of this task change your perception of yourself as a writer? How did your relationship with writing change because of you working on this portfolio? So, kind of taking a step back and making sure that we're evaluating our writing on a larger scale and looking at our earliest work and maybe our newest work and seeing how much we changed. And the outcome of that, hopefully, is that students have a diverse array of completed products that provide a holistic view of themselves as writers. They've obtained the ability to reflect on their own writing and be cognizant of the choices made when making the product. And lastly, and most importantly, having the capacity to care about their own progress as writers since they have concrete evidence now that they are capable of growth. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I hope you learned something from this. Please let me know in any ways I can improve on the information I presented here, or anything you would like to add, any suggestions. I'm definitely down to hear it. Thank you for your time and have an excellent day and or night. Thank you.